Hello, I'm Brian with BlvdHome Flooring and Design. We're in this home that's been recently built in the last 2 years by a builder here locally. Great company. Just some of the side effects of their practices are coming through in the install of this floor. It's only 2 years old and the LVP floors are already cracking, splitting, and falling apart. It's a floating floor, what we would call a luxury vinyl plank, and it's having some serious issues. Number one, the manufacturer requires that no cabinetry be installed on top of the luxury vinyl plank. So this builder laid out the floating floor, the LVP, all through the house before anything was in here. Then they came in, installed the cabinetry here in the kitchen over top of the LVP. That causes some problems down the road. Things like the floor can no longer expand and contract because of the weight of the cabinetry. And so when the temperature changes in the house just a little bit, the floor wants to expand and contract. So there's nowhere for it to go. So it pushes up at the joints. And that's a weakness of these thinner LVP floors. Another thing that they've done wrong, in my opinion, is that the baseboards, they caulked the bottom of the baseboard, which again, doesn't allow the floor to expand and contract, slide underneath that baseboard. Again, when it pushes out or sucks in, it has nowhere to go but to pucker or to push up at the locking system. You can feel it right across here. You can just move your foot across here and you can feel that pucker. And because the floor is pushing up, it causes other damage. So damage like the locking system begins to break and crack, and then also it causes it to expose the corners, and then the corners will chip up and will start to lose the delaminating of the top layer of the LVP and wear layer. So should you acclimate LVP to the home before you install it? Well, not necessarily. The manufacturer says that's not necessary. But what the manufacturer does recommend is that a house is air conditioned or heated and that the floor is installed in the temperature that the floor will live in for the rest of its life. So another problem that we encounter with our floating floors is that when you walk over it, you can feel the floor move a little bit, and sometimes you can even get a little clap out of it. That's caused by the subfloor. The subfloor not being properly prepared for the installation. What I mean by properly prepared, the floor needs to be flat. Does it need to be perfectly flat? As much as possible. But the best way to do it is prior to installation, take a straight edge, put it over top of the concrete or the wood subfloor in different areas, and notice whether or not the end of the straight edge is up off the floor a little bit. Anything over 3/16 of an inch, over 6 feet, needs to be addressed. What do I mean by needs to be addressed? Needs to be either ground down, sanded, or having a leveling compound put down on the floor. So one of the objectives that I try to do and try to help my consumers understand is that after you go through the process of selecting a floor, prepping the floor, installing the floor, that when you're walking across it doing your daily house chores, like doing the laundry or coming to the kitchen to do the dishes, the last thing you want to be thinking about, or the last thing you want to annoy you, is the floor. What is annoying about a floor that's been installed this way is that little clap, the little movement in the floor, the little cracking noises that you hear from the joints breaking as you walk across them. We can avoid that, but you gotta really concentrate on floor prep, floor prep, floor prep. What are some of the things you can do to avoid these things I've mentioned so far? Well, one of them is don't install the LVP underneath your cabinets, don't caulk the baseboards, but the next important thing is the quality of the product that you're choosing to put down on your floor. So one of the things that I talk a lot with my clients is the overall thickness of the floor. The thicker the floor, the better the install. Like you can see on this product here, it's a thinner luxury vinyl plank, and because it's thinner, it has a very thin locking mechanism. So easily broken under a floor that wasn't properly sanded, grinded, or leveled out, and then you get the results that we have in this house. So a way to prevent that on the product side is to make sure you purchase a product, a luxury vinyl plank, that's thicker. The overall thickness gives you a thicker locking mechanism, stronger to withstand some minor imperfections, but in the end, that heavier, thicker floor is going to be flat and it's not going to be clapping underneath your feet, especially if you do the floor prep as I recommended. So a second product that you could consider, still an LVP, but we call it a loose lay LVP or a glue down LVP. They come in many different thicknesses, 2.0, 2.5, or a 5mm thickness. But the reality is that you will have to do a little more floor prep to make sure the floor is as smooth as you can get it. But once you glue this puppy down, it isn't going anywhere and there's no locking system to break. It'll last a really long time. So some of my clients have asked, can I put an underlayment under my LVP floating floor? The answer is yes. However, most of the products, if not all, already come with a standard pad attached, either 1mm or 2mm, depending on the quality of the product that you purchase. But this pad attached is plenty to give you some cushion underfoot when you're walking across your floor. Now, there might be those instances where you're living in a 2-story home and you're putting the LVP up on the second floor and you want to have some sound dampening. Most manufacturers will warranty a very specific sound dampening pad that you can put underneath this, but more than likely you'll have to glue that pad down and then do the floating floor over top of it. But that can help prevent noise transfer from the second floor down to the first floor. So like we've mentioned in this home, it's a floating floor. Question is, all the damage that's here, can it be repaired? No, there's no way to repair this. Now, in your home, if you did a fairly good installation and you avoided a lot of these mistakes that this builder did, and you had 1, maybe 2 planks that got damaged, then the reality is that an installer or even yourself could cut out 1 plank and put a new one in its place. It's tricky. Better to have a professional do it, but it can be done. So the solution for this home, we're going to have to pull up the LVP and replace it. There's a process that you're going to have to go through in order to do that. We're going to need to remove the baseboards, including the trim around the cabinetry. Then that'll allow us access to pull up all the LVP and put it in the trash. It's really not good for anything at this point. After that, we need to do some floor prep to make sure that we don't have the same problems in our next install. So as a homeowner, or you're wanting to be a homeowner, and you're looking to purchase a new home or a home that's been established for a while, ask the homeowner or ask the seller what floors are installed in the house. And then when you inspect the home yourself, look for some of the telltale signs that I just mentioned to you in this video. One is the caulking around the bottom of the baseboard. Do you see that? Then you know for sure there's no way that floor is moving. 2, it's really easy to look at the base of the cabinets and see that the planks go clear underneath and that it was installed on top. One of the only things you might have been able to do in the process of buying that new home is maybe stop in at a flooring store, not a big box store, but a flooring store. Talk to people with experience. I've got 7 years experience at BlvdHome selling these types of floors. We're gonna be able to talk you through these issues. We'll even come out and do an inspection and a measure ourselves, just to help you out if you would like. So when it comes to choosing an LVP product, here are some things that you need to look for. They're the most important things as far as I'm concerned. So first off, is the top of the LVP has what's called a wear layer. It's a clear coat that's placed on top to protect the vinyl picture from damage down the road. Those wear layers come in a 6mm, 12mm, 20mm, or even 30mm wear layer. Most common for a residential home is a 12mm wear layer is more than sufficient. In our store, we mostly sell 20mm wear layer. The second thing to look for is the overall thickness, and that overall thickness needs to be 6 millimeter, 7 millimeter, 8 millimeter, somewhere in that range. That's gonna give you a thick enough floor to have a decent locking system that's gonna withhold all the heavy traffic that you're gonna put on it. So this homeowner, it's not much they can do. What can you do though for your home and you've got a new LVP floor installed in that house? What are some of the actions that you might be able to take in order to get resolution? One thing is if your home is less than a year old, go and inspect all these things that I've talked about, and then go talk to your builder and see if he'll address any of them before the 1-year warranty's up. If you're past the 1-year warranty, there's a manufacturer warranty on all of these products. Now, assuming the floor was installed correctly and you have some delamination or the cracking at the top of the corner, those can be a defect by the manufacturer. And you very well should file a claim with that manufacturer. Best way to do that is to file the claim through the retail store that you purchased the product from. But then they're gonna wanna come to your house, they're gonna want to inspect the floor, they're gonna see whether or not it was installed correctly, and if everything was installed correctly, that manufacturer will replace that floor. As always, like and subscribe. It really helps our YouTube channel get this pertinent information out to the masses. We appreciate that. We know there's a lot of homeowners that have had horror stories about their floors. We'd love to hear about yours. Put it in the comments. Let us know what happened and what you had to do to solve the problem. Also, stay tuned to our channel. The next video is going to be about the measuring process. What do I do when I come into your home to measure for your new floor?